Well, as you guys can see here, I ended up getting myself an oven, which I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, why would you get an oven? But yeah, this is going to be used for powder coating. As you guys would have seen in the previous video, we got a sandblast cabinet all set up. We stripped down some metal parts already, just removing all the rust and coating off of them, and it turned out great. So next up, the next process I want to try to do, rather than painting, is actually powder coating. So that's where this is going to come in. And of course, this oven here was free, so that's a huge plus. You guys can see here, the interior dimensions of it is relatively good size. It's got a little fan in the back there as well. So we got 2 racks there, and this should be great. This should be more than enough size for suspension arms, components like that, and big enough to hopefully do wheels. As you guys would have seen previously with the Civic, we ended up getting those Integra Type R wheels. So I think we should be able to blast those in there and attempt to do some powder coating. Obviously, I don't want to jump into doing the wheels just yet. I want to practice with some of the smaller pieces, which you guys would have seen, those smaller items that we did. Strip those down, so we go ahead and try to powder coat them. But before we do that, we need to get this thing wired in. So I've got the electrician coming over. He'll get this thing wired up, and we can go ahead and try to test it out. I'll show you guys next what the gun is, as well as the powder that I end up picking up as well. And as for location, I don't know if it's going to stay here. We may move it around a little bit. I don't know if this is an ideal spot. Obviously, kind of limited on space back here, but yeah, I think we should be able to make it work. So let's get the electrician over here, get this thing wired up.
A few moments later.
After a couple weeks here, we now got the electrician over here to get this thing wired in. As you can see there, it's plugged in on this wall here. We got power going to the display. As you guys can see there, the light kicks on. And of course, the electrician, I made sure to test this thing out, and it does get up to temperature. So for this being a used oven that I had no idea the condition of it being, as well as being a free oven, I kind of was assuming it needs a little bit of work, but it seems to work great. So now this should be more than enough for what I want to do as far as powder coating goes. You guys can see here the dimensions on this thing. Looks like it's got pretty good width and depth on this thing. We should be able to fit, from what I measured, looks like we should be able to fit maximum of an 18-inch wheel in here, at least I think. So we'll be able to test that out here in the future. But yeah, for what I want to do with it now is just kind of test out some few small parts, just kind of get comfortable with using it and see how well it works. So as far as the powder coating stuff goes, this is what I ended up picking up here. This is the powder coating system from Eastwood. It is the Hotcoat powder coating gun. It's got dual voltage on this thing, 15 and 25. So you got a little switch there to choose how it, I guess, sprays out. We'll have to test it out. Like I said, I've never done this before, but we'll test it all out. You got the gun itself, fill up the canister with the powder, got the ground there, as well as the charge button there. You can see there, it's got the fitting on the end here for air. So this thing, I believe, is anywhere from 5 to 10 PSI. So I end up getting these 2 pieces here. So we got a regulator here to control our air pressure, as well as making sure to filter out any water, that we don't get any water mixed up with the powder itself and causing any clumping or any kind like that. The other thing we ended up having to get here was an infrared thermometer to make sure to test the temperature. Basically, I believe the part's got to get up to whatever temp the powder recommends, whether it be 375, 400, and then you let it cure for 20 minutes or so. But each one has its own different instructions. So I ended up picking up this powder here. This is from Prismatic Powders. Got a bunch of samples to kind of play around with, take a look at, and see which ones I like the best. We've got some bronze, reds, blues, whites, of course blacks, some textured reds, you know, all the colors I was kind of interested in. But for today, as far as powder goes, I ended up picking this here. This is Blackjack Black from Prismatic Powders. We got a 5-pound bag there to test out and use on some of our suspension components here. I also picked up a bag of white, which you guys may be able to figure out what that's for, but that'll be for a different day. But yeah, I think we can go ahead, assemble this here, get it together, and try doing some powder coating. Now we got our gun all assembled here. We got our water separator and a regulator attached there. So this should be all good to go. I went ahead, got it all laid out here. You can see there is the grounding clamp there. There is the button to apply charge to the part so the powder sticks to it. Of course, we have the main box here, which got the 2 different modes there to get the powder to stick to it. So we'll just plug this all in, add our powder, and be able to test it out. Now, as for the part that I want to do, I've got this here. I've actually got 2 of these, as well as a couple more parts to kind of test on. But as you guys saw in the previous video when we did our sandblasting, we ended up stripping a bunch of these pieces here. So we're going to go ahead, apply the Blackjack powder coat to this, see how it turns out. I'm curious to see and test it all out and see how this oven works. I've already got this thing heated up to 375, so it should be good to go. That is what is recommended on our Blackjack powder here. As you guys can see there, Blackjack says 15 minutes at 375 cure time. So once we get the powder stuck to it and this part here reaches 375, then the timer starts for 15 minutes cure process, which is why we got the infrared thermometer here, so we can be able to read and see what the part temperature is at and then start the process of curing on that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get the thing set up over there to get this attached to and apply our powder. I went ahead, kind of set this up. This isn't the best setup, but I figured this is the good little rack there for the oven. I hooked this little wire here, so we'll run the wire through the part there, hang it up, and apply powder. Hopefully it doesn't make too big of a mess, but I guess we'll find out. So let's go and test it. Well, for now, I just filled it up to there. I don't know how much powder I'm actually going to need to do that small part, but we'll find out here. So let's go ahead and see if this works. Okay, so it just went above the last time I measured it, right? So we're at 375 right now. So let's go ahead, set our timer here, 15 minutes. All right, we'll let that go ahead and count down here. Now that we got it pulled out of the oven, we're gonna go ahead, let it set, cool down for a little bit before we go through and mess with it. I wanna go through and check out the quality of the powder itself, see if we had any issues with it as far as like kind of little like fish eyes and stuff like that, or any imperfections or places that I didn't get enough powder. So I'm kind of curious to see how this looks. So give it here a few minutes and we'll check it out. Okay, finally cooled down enough to touch. As you guys can see there, that looks awesome. Got full penetration on there. Don't see any issues. Some of those marks and stuff were already there. I don't see any like weird bubbling fish eyes. No areas that we didn't hit or nothing. Looks to be super clean, and it's insane. It looks, I mean, it looks brand new. So here was what it looked like before, and then before that was just a rusty, disgusting mess. You guys can go check that out in the previous video. But going from this to this and having that fully coated, that looks insane. That looks so good. Obviously, this is just a flat piece just to kind of test on, and we'll be using this on the Subaru itself. But just using this as our initial test piece was definitely worth it and looks great. I'll probably go through, I'm going to go through and powder coat a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, we'll probably go through, we'll do this one next and see if we can get the same results twice here. And then also, I've got this one here, which is a little bit bigger and a little bit more intricate. So we'll see here if we can powder coat this thing as well. Like I said, this thing's a little more intricate. You can see there's a little bit of crevices and stuff there we'll have to get into. But yeah, I want to try and do this one as well. So let's keep going here. I'm having fun now. This is awesome. It's turned out so great. I just can't get over how good this looks. And that blackjack and stuff, it looks just like, I mean, it looks just like an OEM finish. Obviously we can play around with other colors, but this looks, like I said, this looks fantastic. So let's see what else we can do here. you guys can see there, we now got the second piece out of the oven. Looks awesome. Like I said, compared to this one here, they look really, really good. This one has a few more areas, crevices and stuff to get more intricate with. And I did notice on this side here, I don't know how well the camera can pick it up, but just kind of in that corner there, it does seem to be a little bit light. So I think we're going to try to do a second coat on this. From what I've read with powder coat, you can kind of double up the layers. So we're going to try that out, try to get a little bit better finish on this one. And if it doesn't turn out, we can always throw it in the sand blaster and start over. But so far, I'm really loving this powder coating. Now we got this piece to cool down, we can go ahead, get a good look at it. As you guys can see there, we got full coverage on there. No hints of silver poking through. Looks really, really good. You guys can still see there's a little bit of imperfections, but that's just from in the metal itself. I don't see any like weird bubbling or cracking or flaking or anything like that. We also got full coverage in these crevices here, which is awesome. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get in there with the powder, but it seems to flow in there and looks really, really good. As you can see there, everything looks nice, smooth, and cohesive. So yeah, I'm really loving doing this powder coating stuff. You guys can see what it looked like before to what it looks like now, just this raw metal. And like I said, this actually started off as just a pretty rusty piece that we went through and sandblasted and then finished off with this coating here. So yeah, I'm loving this results. These are definitely addicting to do, super easy DIY style setup here, especially having this oven now in the garage. So we definitely have a lot more stuff to do. But for now, I think we're gonna go ahead and end up the video here. Like I said, I got a ton more stuff that I wanna go through in powder coat, so I'll be sure to keep you guys posted here in the next upcoming videos, as well as I'll do some stuff on Instagram so you guys can see some before and after results. I definitely wanna play around with some more colors, but for the Subaru at the time being, we're just gonna stick with the blackjack for now as far as keeping it kind of the OEM look. Obviously, we can go through and do some other stuff here later at a different time, see if we get be a little bit more creative or find some other things to powder coat. But like I said, I'll keep you guys updated here in the future. But for now, I'm super happy to set up on the garage. This is going to be the end of the garage mods for now. We're going to go ahead and get back into the Subaru here in the next upcoming video. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Hope you guys like this video. If you guys did, make sure big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, we got tons more stuff coming, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys are interested in anything that I used in today's video, I'll be sure to link it all in the description below. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.